Banks that were making very good profit, banks that were operating properly, have been looted by Awami League-backed people. Export of funds to foreign destinations and all these have caused inflation, a very high inflation in the country. Corruption has to be checked. There has to be some kind of accountability. Otherwise, of course, they're going to face the same kind of retaliation from the people.
Hello and welcome to DawnNews English. Sheikh Hasina resigned as Bangladesh's Prime Minister and fled the country, following severe violence that claimed over 300 lives. This marks some of the first unrest since Bangladesh's independence 50 years ago. Joining us today is Zulqarnain Saer Khan. Zulqarnain, what do you think is going to be the immediate impact of Sheikh Hasina's resignation and departure from the country on the political stability and the security situation in Bangladesh?
Thank you. Bangladesh have been waiting for this moment for a while because the country have been under Sheikh Hasina's authoritarian rule for more than 15 years. People did not have the rights to vote. They did not have the rights to express themselves well. Journalists could not do their job correctly because they used to live in fear. And as Sheikh Hasina had to step down under such circumstances, it is like now she had to flee the country. Literally, she has taken an aircraft which is headed to an unknown destination at this moment. And the immediate impact is people are very jubilant. People have all come to the streets. They have taken over the Prime Minister's office. They have taken over the Prime Minister's residence, which is called Bhavan. They're out there in a very festive mood, and some people are even saying that it's an Independence Day. I myself, working on Bangladesh, I'm still having difficulties to believe that Sheikh Hasina has actually fled the country. And the immediate implications would be people have grievances. People have serious grievances because hundreds and thousands of people have been accused falsely with false cases. There were police brutalities against opposition party members. There were the state forces used their maximum brute force to deal with certain opposition parties like Jamaat-e-Islami, then Bangladesh Nationalist Party (BNP), and all other small political parties. They all faced serious trouble during this nearly last 2 decades. But that has come to end now. It has come to end today. And going forward from here, we will see, I think there will be violence at certain areas of the country because people will become people would like to take revenge. And Awami League leaders, Awami League people, they're also escaping, I have heard. So the security situation will be, of course, at risk. But as the Chief of Army Staff today said, General Walker, that Army is going to make things right. Army will ensure that people are safe and secured. And there will be a proper transition to an interim government before the election. So we have to wait and we have to see who are in the new government, how the new government has been formed, and then we can expect for a better Bangladesh in coming days.
But would you say that the economic crisis, the corruption allegations, and the suppression of dissent contributed to the widespread protests and the eventual storming of the palace? And what do you think it says about the underlying political dynamics in Bangladesh?
Corruption under Sheikh Hasina's regime has gone up like anything. It has been there everywhere. So from banks, if I just talk about financial institutions, for an example, banks that were making very good profit, banks that were operating properly, have been looted by Awami League-backed people. So, and then corruption by government employees, military officers, police officers, civil servants, they all have been involved in mega corruption activities, and all went unchecked. There were no accountability. nobody faced any kind of retaliation. Even the Security Exchange chairman of Bangladesh, Security Exchange is a very sensitive apparatus of the stock market. So Bangladesh Stock Exchange Commission's chairman, he himself was involved with an international criminal gang. And he faced no repercussion. I myself, I have done a reporting, and I faced the backlash from the government. But the guy who is accused, he was roaming free. He didn't face any kind of action, or nothing was done against him. And there are hundreds of examples like this. The powerful have taken over banks, they have taken money from the bank, they have siphoned off funds abroad, they have built enormous wealth abroad, and without any kind of problem, basically. We do have an anti-corruption commission, which is very much biased, but they were like, no action has been taken against anybody. So, and people have witnessed it over the years, and export of funds to foreign destinations, and all these have caused inflation, a very high inflation in the country. And when high inflation hit, then the commodity prices have also gone up, and it has impacted the middle class people, the other people, the regular common people. So it all have compiled, it all has added up and resulted the situation that we are in right now. And it was supposed to happen, for how long people will basically accept it. And it is all Sheikh Hasina's doing. I would only say that she was responsible for all this.
What role do you think the opposition parties and the protest leaders play in mobilizing the crowd and pushing Sheikh Hasina to resign? And now that she's gone, what do you think are going to be their next moves and demands?
The situation that has emerged now, it was not really by any political party. The entire movement, the protests and all, it was not backed by any kind of third forces or anything like that, but the students themselves and the people of Bangladesh. So students started the protest on 16th and 17th of July, when there was a large number of casualty by the police and security forces. General people participated in that. As you know, that during 16, 17, 18, 19, 20th July, we saw deaths of hundreds of people, thousands of people are injured. We have 300 confirmed deaths those days. Yesterday there was 100 confirmed deaths, and added anger to people's mind, and general people took the streets alongside the students. The political parties, they expressed their solidarity that we also accept your demand. It was basically a 9-point demand earlier, which turned into 1-point demand just since the beginning of this month. And just within 72 hours, Sheikh Hasina had to flee the country. So now you can see the power of people. We have firsthand witnessed the power of people, the power of the masses. And of course, from here, the future government who will be forming a government, or who will be selected over a public vote, they has to learn some lesson that public concerns has to be addressed. Corruption has to be checked. There has to be some kind of accountability. Otherwise, of course, they're going to face the same kind of retaliation from the people. And now the fear cycle has broken. The people's fear cycle has now broken. People are not really afraid of taking the streets anymore. So, and the new generation, the Gen Z, as we tell them, the Gen Z have expressed how strong they are. So I think it all should be a very good reminder for any future government or the interim government, whoever are coming.
What could happen in Bangladesh's government next? Are we looking at an interim government? Are we looking at elections or more unrest?
I think the army chief said all the parties will discuss and they will decide on the people who will be included in the interim government. And if I'm not wrong, the plan is to include academics, or ex-civil service people, ex-foreign service people, ex-bureaucrats, might be military officers, retired military officers, and or civil society people, so who are accepted or who are respected by the general public. And like normally, this is how it has happened before. We had caretaker government system in Bangladesh earlier, which the Sheikh Hasina government abolished, and then all the elections that took place under Sheikh Hasina's government were all under her administration. So now, as you can see, that demonstrated that they want a change. I'm sure the chief of army staff will do the right thing by appointing a neutral caretaker government and interim government. And from that government, I think given the present scenario in Bangladesh, where the country's economy stand, where the country's politics stand, and they will have a lot in their hand. They will have to reshape a lot of organizations. They will have to ensure transparency in multiple government ministries, and they'll have to streamline all of it. So they will have a hard task in their hand. I don't think they will be able to do anything in 6 months to 1 year time. So whoever are going to form a new government, they will have tough time in their hands to streamline everything, because like most of the government organizations have been rotten to the core. When I say rotten to the core, it's like corrupt to the core. And we'll have to find a solution, a feasible solution, how to make those organs functionable so that they can serve correctly. A new government, when there is an election, it can operate peacefully and smoothly. So if I'm not wrong, I think that would take at least a year and a half, or at least a year. So it, like now, you can see that, and we don't really foresee any election happening in the next 6 months' time. I don't really think that it would be wise to have an election in the next 6 months. So probably a year or year and a half would be an ideal timeline.
How might the international community, particularly India and other regional powers, react to the crisis in Bangladesh right now? Do you think it could affect the regional stability and security if Bangladesh faces more chaos or a big political shift?
Like India has been supporting Sheikh Hasina's government for a long time. Throughout all these years, all the elections which were absolutely one-sided, India supported those. Even the last election, India knew fully well that the Hasina government's acceptance is below average. Despite knowing all this, they supported the regime of Sheikh Hasina. And at some point, people of Bangladesh started growing a very anti-India sentiment, which I think India doesn't want, because India and Bangladesh are very, very close countries. We have always been enjoying very good friendship with Indians, and with the people. Well, by supporting Sheikh Hasina's government blindly, India did create dissatisfaction amongst a large number of Bangladeshi people. There was a campaign that ran about boycott Indian products in Bangladesh, and which saw a good traction. Basically, all this happened because the people were annoyed at India's unconditional support towards the regime of Sheikh Hasina. And I also noticed that they never thought of having a steady relation with other political layers in their country. They kind of kept all their eggs in one basket. And now I think is the time they should really think how they're going to handle the situation from now on. And I think the interim government of Bangladesh and the future democratic government, whoever will come, they should also have to consider, defranchising themselves from the power circle of New Delhi, because it's an independent country, and they should take decisions by themselves. We understand that India is a big player, but again, why would you allow somebody to interfere in your state affairs? when you are a sovereign and independent country. And given the situation of India's ruling party, BJP, you can see that in the recent election, BJP did lose significant number of seats, and I think now they will have to focus more on their country than on Bangladesh. But security-wise, I think Bangladesh and China always had a very good relationship. Bangladesh, Myanmar, Bangladesh, Pakistan, all had very steady relationships throughout. But yeah, with Myanmar, we had some issues with the Rohingyas and all. But now, if a new government is formed, I'm sure we'll be able to improve things with all sides.
Thank you so much for joining us. For more on this, keep watching DawnNews English.